In tennis, not all points are of equal importance. Facetiously speaking, the only point that really matters is the last one. Though this might be a convenient oversimplification, there is more at stake in a close final set tiebreak than 2 breaks ahead in the first. We quantify what is at stake by a notion of leverage. To what extent can a point swing the outcome of a match? In this analysis, we want to find out whether leverage affects a player's serve selection. Consider this match point on João Sousa's serve. The hypothesis is that at such high leverage, a player will want to employ the serve that maximizes his or her chances of winning. In a lower leverage situation, such as here at 40 love, a player might be more willing to go for suboptimal serves in order to remain unpredictable and hopefully keep the receiver guessing even in high leverage situations. Before testing the hypothesis, let's take a quick look at the construction of the leverage metric, using, as an example, the high leverage situation. The leverage of a point should quantify to what extent the outcome of the point influences the outcome of the match. So let's go through the possible match outcomes. If João Sousa wins the point, the outcome of the match is decided in his favor. If João Sousa loses this point, the outcome of the match is uncertain. It's now 6-all in the deciding tiebreak. What we do in this case is try to figure out the probability of João Sousa winning the match. To this end, we follow the path of possible point outcomes a bit further. If João Sousa wins 2 points consecutively, he wins the match 8-6. If Federico Gaio wins 2 points consecutively, João Sousa loses the match 6-8. If the next 2 points are shared between the 2 players, the tiebreak continues at 7-7. This is practically the same situation as at 6-6, except that Federico Gaio is now on serve. At 6-6, 7-7, 8-8, and so on, play continues until either player wins the match by winning 2 consecutive points, 1 on serve, 1 on return. By virtue of this symmetry, we therefore take the probability for João Sousa to win the match at 6-6 to be 50%. The difference between winning and losing the point is the difference between a match that is won and a match that is dead even. Our measure of leverage is therefore at 50%. In fact, this is the highest possible leverage in a standard tennis match. With no ad scoring, a leverage of 100% is possible. With just a few more fairly unrestrictive assumptions, we can quantify leverage for the entire match, with our initial situations corresponding to very high and very low leverage indeed. So then let's take a look at serve placement. Our sample consists of 20 matches played during the 2021 Brest Challenger tournament, of which João Sousa played 4. In all of his tournament matches, when serving from the ad side, it seems that João Sousa goes for serves out wide somewhat more often than for serves down the middle. To understand if serve placement correlates with leverage, we color in each bounce. The redder a mark, the higher the leverage. To be able to quantify serve location more precisely, we record where any given serve would have crossed the service line. By projecting onto the service line along the flight path, we can easily construct a distribution of serve placement. Indeed, the serve out wide is favored against the serve down the middle. We can now split this distribution by point leverage. In red, we chart the distribution of serves in high leverage situations. In yellow, medium leverage situations, and in green, low leverage situations. Over the entire sample, the average low leverage point swings match outcome probabilities by around 2.2%, whereas the average high leverage point swings match outcomes by 12.9%. This makes a typical high leverage point 6 times more relevant to the match outcome than a typical low leverage point. In João Sousa's case, the segmented view is quite revealing. At low leverage, he serves down the middle as often as he serves out wide. However, as leverage increases, he reduces his serves down the middle. At high leverage, he serves out wide almost exclusively. In fact, 2 statistical tests show that there is a highly significant difference between high and low leverage serve placement. The Kolmogorov-Smirnov and the Anderson-Darling test both quantify how likely it is that 2 sets of samples, in our case low and high leverage serve locations, are generated by the same underlying distribution. In this case, the tests argue that it is very unlikely that low and high leverage serve locations are generated by the same distribution. Essentially, João Sousa's decision process about where to serve in low leverage situations is different than in high leverage situations. João Sousa might well be maximizing win probability on high leverage serves by going for serves out wide to the receiver's backhand almost exclusively. In low leverage situations, he mixes it up pretty much 50-50, serving down the middle to retain a measure of unpredictability. The outside serve out wide to the backhand is a sensible weapon of choice. For João Sousa, a righty, the serve will be hard and flat. For lefties, however, the staple outside serve is the slice out wide, pulling the returner out of the court on the backhand side. Indeed, for left-handed Liam Brody, we see a heavy dependence on this serve out wide. The same holds for Hugo Gaston, another lefty. Even though it looks like Gaston especially mixes and serves down the middle at low leverage and relies on the slice out wide almost exclusively at higher leverages, our test cannot establish a statistically significant difference in serve locations due to the very limited sample size. For both Liam Brody and Hugo Gaston, we only have one match in our sample. On the other hand, Carlos Taberner exclusively serves down the middle in medium or high leverage situations, whereas he mixes his serves in lower leverage situations. However, Carlos Taberner's only match in our sample came against left-handed Kenny de Schepper, so it might be that he is simply targeting his backhand at higher leverages, and results might not generalize to right-handed receivers. Again, the statistical tests are inconclusive, only hinting at a significant difference in serve placement. Let's take a look at some interesting cases on the do side. First up is Holger Rune. On aggregate, it seems he prefers the do serve out wide. However, the breakdown shows that the do serve out wide is predominantly a high leverage serve. At low leverage, Holger Rune switches it up, serving mostly down the middle. When considering only low and high leverage situations, the difference in serve placement is not significant due to the lack of high leverage situations. However, when comparing medium and high leverage situations jointly with the low leverage, the difference in pattern is significant. Let's check back in on our lefties. Liam Brody seems to rely primarily on a serve down the middle, to a right-handed receiver's backhand. For Hugo Gaston, the same pattern holds, with him seeming to mix in serves out wide in low-leverage situations a bit more regularly, to protect the serve down the middle in high-leverage situations maybe. In this video, we have shown how some players adjust their serve patterns based on leverage, a measure of the importance of the point being played. Since high leverage points matter disproportionately more than low leverage points, it is essential to disaggregate the opponent's serve placement by leverage. Otherwise, one might be fooled on important points by expecting serves which the server only plays on points he or she can afford to lose. Figuring this out in a match can be costly, or even outright impossible. High leverage points are few and far between, and having to guess sets the receiver up for failure when it matters most. On the other hand, knowing the serve mix at different leverages ahead of time, there is no need to guess.